Hello, all you amazing, wonderful people. Welcome back to the channel, IStandAlone Gaming. Today we're going to be playing some more Satisfactory. So in the last episode, we started our mega factory over here, and there's a lot we still need to do. But before we get into that, I have a question. Do you guys prefer to see the actual builds themselves, or do you prefer to see the completed builds? The reason I'm asking is because we're getting further into the game, and I feel like at this point, if you've been watching at least, you should understand the basic concepts of how to build. But if you are more interested in seeing on how I complete the builds instead of the actual completion part, let me know. I feel like I've been leaning more towards here's what I got, here's what I did, and even though it's a little bit easier on the recording side, I don't know how you guys feel about watching it. So let me know what you guys would like to see, and I will change accordingly. But with that being said, there's a lot we still have to do over here. Go ahead and jump down, and first things first, my plan is to climb over here, and we're going to set up a copper mine, or copper ignite. And in order to do that, we took care of the copper nodes over here. We got one over there, and there's two underneath. We need to go ahead and put an MK3 miner over here at some point, as soon as we get the portable miners. But we'll have three of those, all producing 240 apiece. And with that being said, we're going to use the refinery to use the pure copper ignite recipe, an alternate recipe using water. Obviously, we still have water over at the end, over in this direction. I basically just copied the other side like we did with the iron. So we're going to have pipes coming up, we're going to have water coming up into the refineries here, and we're going to need a boatload of refineries. So it only takes 15 ore per minute, as you can see right here. So since we're getting roughly 720, go ahead and do our thing here, 720 divided by 15. We're going to need roughly 48 refineries to get all of that copper smelted down. But with that being said, we'll get 37.5. So let's go ahead and type in 37.5 times 48. We're going to be getting roughly 1,800 copper ignites per minute. We're going to need a lot of this for a lot of reasons. We're going to need the copper for the motors and the frames and everything else, the screws, bada bing, bada boom. And we're going to need this for copper plating, straters, and a bunch of other stuff. So we're going to go ahead and build both of those down here. We'll have another floor on top where we're going to transfer the ignites and the iron ignites into probably constructors or assemblers or whatever that we need at the time. But until then, we're going to go ahead and build these. So let's go ahead and put the rest of these down. Like I said, we're going to need 48. Alright, so we built our three copper miners, all leading into this one line. 240, 240, and 240, 720. Line holds 780, more than enough. We will end up splitting it back up again, simply because we have three rows of refineries here. We're going to have to finish off this row. It will give us 45 in total, if you remember correctly. I needed 48, so what we're going to end up doing is overclocking three of them, one on each line. Keeps everything even. Yeah, so that's the plan. We'll be getting 1,800 copper per minute. Pretty good amount. We're going to do the same thing as we did over here. We're going to have all the copper come up in the little thing that we created here. I think it looks pretty cool. Glass. We still have the incoming nitrogen gas being packaged. You can always turn that into either nitric acid or something else. We're going to end up needing that for cooling systems, turbo motors, used modular frames, so on and so forth. May end up filling in this, but if not, we can always change it around later. That being said, we're also going to be getting some limestone. So there's a limestone, I believe, right below us here. Right there. There's one on this side of the cliff, or on the other side of the cliff here, and there's another one right there. I believe they're all normal. Let's go ahead and check real quick. And if that's the case, we'll be getting roughly 780 ore from that as well. Or 720, I'm sorry. If we put MK3 miners on there, which we mine as well. And if we're getting all that, we can go ahead and transport some steel over here. We can make some steel beams and steel pipes that will be needed for stratters, a few other things that we're going to need in order to craft the turbo motors and stuff like that. So we're definitely on our way. A lot of stuff's going to be handled here, but since we have the train and a few other things up our sleeves, I think it'll work out pretty good. So let's go ahead and finish up our copper. We'll make it look like our iron one over here. All I need to do is go grab some parts, and we'll be right back. Alright, so we officially have all the refineries up, and all we have to do is go through and make sure each one has the right recipe here. So let's go ahead and copy these settings, and we can paste them. Alright, so I went through and double checked. One thing we've got to do is one of the machines in each line need to be overclocked to 200%. We need 48 in total. We have 45. If 3 are overclocked, it's technically like having 48. We're going to overclock this one to 200%. Copy these settings. Do it the first one of each line. And there we go. Now all we got to do, get the copper ore into each machine and get the mortar into each machine. Let's go ahead and do that. I'll go ahead and start on this side just so you can see what I'm doing, and then we'll do the other side off camera. First things first, our ore is coming up right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to have it split into 3 separate lines. It's just easier that way. In order to do that, start off by doing these just as a starting reference point. B. One on that side. One on this side. And we're going to have the order being run up above our belts. At least that's what I'm thinking. Now, there's a little bit more space over here, but we also didn't need 48 of them. So we'll see how it turns out. And we'll go from there. But one thing being said, we're going to be getting a lot more copper out of this setup than we were getting iron. I think we got 1,200 iron total, and we're getting 1,800 copper. So lots of materials and lots of things to deal with, lots of parts, so on and so forth. So let's get busy. There we go. That is our 3 lines. Should fit all evenly. Now we just have to go ahead and get all the correct lifts and set up all the lifts, and we should be good to go. essentially what I do is just go ahead and one slot away from the entrance, place the floor holes. Do the same thing for pipes. Once that is complete, I'll go through and add all of the pipes and the lifts. Once I have both the lifts and the pipe down, I go underneath and make sure that the lifts were placed properly. As you can see down here, we have one that decided to do its own thing, and we're just going to have to go ahead and replace it. So go ahead and just replace it real quick. And now it's got the hole there. Perfect. Put that in. We're going to need 3 separate machines. Let's see how much water we need quick. So we have 15 per line. Each one only takes 10. So it's 150 for each line. It's actually 160 for this one. So 160 water per line. We do have 3 water extractors down here. However, each one of these only produces 120. So what we could do is either put down another water extractor and split that into 3, which would give us an extra 40 on top of each one. But I think it's just easier to overclock each one by 40. So let's go ahead and do that. Type in here 160, or actually we only need 160. And that is a perfect 150%. Problem solved. Go ahead and copy those settings. And since we have all 3 of these going into one line, that is going to be 320, 480. It's enough for one line, so we don't need to have multiple lines running. We can just split one line into 3, and that should work out perfectly. So in order to keep the pipes tidy and up on the roof, essentially all I do is drop down a block. So try to get it somewhat close to where I need it. So here, that close. See how it looks pretty decent. You could also change to horizontal and vertical. However, I think I want to pull it one closer. Good to go now, and there we go. And then once you're done, you can go ahead and delete the blocks that are underneath. And if you want it to look like it's supported, you need to put in the pipeline supports on the ceiling. I'm probably going to do this all the way down. Literally right there. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and place these all the way down. Set up our little pipeline here. We'll be good to go. Alright, so now we have water flowing into our first set of refineries. Very simple. We're going to have to connect them all to power. Luckily, I already have power lines set up. So go ahead and do that. And now all we have left to do is all the lifts. Alright, so the last thing to do is set up all the lifts, and all we need to do for that is to simply drop them down from the ceiling. So, go all the way down the line. Alright, so now all the lifts are set up. Let's go ahead and redo our math real quick. So we have 15 machines. They all require 15 copper. And then we have one overclocked, which would be another plus 15. And that gives us our 240. Each line is, or each miner is bringing up 240. So, it smelts out perfectly. All we gotta do is place splitters in front of each of these conveyors, run the lines, and then we're good to go. Alright, so now we should be producing copper ingots. Let's go ahead and double check. All of them but this first one. Oh, that looks like it's moving. Any issues with any of the other machines? Looks like all the way at the end here, but that could just be because it's at the far end of the line and just not getting enough materials yet until the manifold actually fills up. So yeah, I think that's the case here. Once they fill up, they'll turn green. Blue is overclocked, so keep that in mind. If you overclock something, the light will be a different color, but we are okay with that. So last thing we need to do is to have an output. Not super difficult, however, if we look, this line fits perfectly in the way of our output. So what we could do is drop it down. We could drop it down. And do something like that. Or we could just have a bunch of mergers all the way down. We do have sealing belts now, so let's go ahead and do that. so here we are. We need the ones on the right-hand side, or basically the right. Let's go down. So all the ones on the left-hand side are going to be facing to the right. Now, unfortunately, the only downside of having belts on the ceiling, for some reason, they don't let you snap the splitters and mergers to the ceiling as well. Like, it doesn't make any sense. If you try to put it on a lift, it covers the entire lift, and it doesn't work right. And I feel like you should be able to snap it to the far end of the lift. It doesn't make any sense if you can't. Kind of annoying, but it is what it is. There's a really, I don't want to say easy workaround, but there is a decent workaround, and all you got to do is put a ceiling mount here. And once you do that, you can put the belt on. Alright, so what we're going to do is just have this come out like so. Connect all the way to one of our ceiling mounts right here. And we come down, press our merger, and if we hit control, it should lock to where your merger meets your conveyor. Do it along the line of the belt, but it is a simpler way instead of having to build up every time. So if you have the belt in the right position, you can lock it thing there, but sometimes it is finicky. Just keep in mind, it doesn't always work, and you may have to double check. We're gonna do it, see if it works out for us. Again, all you have to do is make sure you have the ceiling mount. You can unlock it in the Awesome Shop. You have that. Pretty simple to get them on. For some reason this one isn't locked on. What I try to do is just all right, so we are finished with the copper. We set everything up. See how all the lights are green. One thing I did have to change is I put all of the water extractors over here to 200 instead of 180. Gives us a little extra water, allows us to make sure everything is running at 100%. So for example, if you see over here, this one is yellow. If we go ahead and click and see why, probably because of the water. Actually, it's running low on ore, so we do have some in the iron area. I think we needed one less refinery. So some of these will not be running at 100%, but that's okay. As long as we get the full amount of resources, and we have everything set up on a resource sink, and this basically stress tests, oof, say that 10 times fast, the machines here, and basically allows me to determine whether or not they can run at 100% efficiency, and so on and so forth. So basically you just let it run for like 5 minutes, and if you come back down, so for example, the end of the line, which is this one, clearly this one is not running at 100%, 57, but everything before it should be 100%. Same thing over here. We got the copper set up, so it should be perfect. So all these should be running at 100%. We come down here to the last one of the line, and 100%. So every single one of these machines is running at 100% efficiency. I think 90% of these machines are running at 100% efficiency, mainly because we ran into an issue where, if we look at the pattern here, we're getting a really weird 65 per minute, and we're getting 30, or we need to spend 35 per minute over here. We're getting, I think it was 4 or 5 lines of ore. Let's go ahead and double check real quick. We are getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines of ore. Should all be producing 240. Go ahead and double check just to make sure. 240, 240, 240. And they are all normal nodes. everything is running at 240. So if we do 240 times 5, getting 1200 ore. And we'll go ahead and look up at the recipe here. It takes 35. So if we do 1200 divided by 35, we're getting 34.28. So we're running 36 machines. I think we are. About 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 times 4. Actually, way more than 8, I think. 30. No, that is 36. So we have 36 machines in total. We have enough ore to run 34.5 roughly. So yes, the last machines here probably won't be running at 100%, but everything else should be. I'm not going to go ahead and underclock them. I'm just going to let it do its thing. This way it will always use all of the ore. It takes a little bit of extra power, but power is not an issue for us right now. So we are good in that aspect. There is one more section I would like to incorporate into this major factory over here, and I want to be able to make steel. So we're probably going to go ahead and do the... Go ahead and look. Oh, actually, I think it's the foundry. Foundry, where are you? There we go. So if we look at the foundry, we got all these alternate recipes for steel. I think the one that we want to take is the one that uses iron. So we got iron ingots for sure. We already crafting a boatload of them over there. We're getting 65 of those out of 34 machines. So if we do go back to our math over here, getting 65 times 35. We're getting roughly 2,200. I'm saying 2,200 because it's like 34.2 something. So I mean roughly 2,200 iron ingots out of that setup over there. So we can definitely steal some of those to craft some steel ingots. So all we need to do is find a way to get coal over here, and that is going to be the most difficult of this journey, simply because the coal that we are already using is being used. We could go ahead and upgrade our main base coal and steel production and see if we can get a train to deliver the steel. We could do that. Might be an option. Or we can just get a drone to deliver coal to this location. Undecided on what I'm going to do just yet, but we definitely want to get some steel over here. The reason being is we're going to need steel for stratters. We're going to need steel pipes. Definitely going to need some steel beams for some of the recipes that we're going to need to make a lot of these things that we're going to end up making. So if we go ahead and look up Radar, or no, it's Stator, right? Yeah, there we go. Sorry. So we need steel pipes for that. If we go ahead and look at encased industrial beam, we'll need steel for that. We have plenty of concrete over here, but we're going to need encased industrial beam as well. We're going to need motors 100% for sure. We could go ahead and use some of our electromagnetic control rods, which would greatly increase our production instead of using the crystal. So, I mean, we got a lot of things that we could do, but we're going to need all these things. We're going to need heavy modular frames to get fused modular frames, and it's going to be a long journey, but we're getting there. So, step by step, taking you along on the process. I'm not going to just be like, oh, now we have fused industrial beams or fused encased beams. So if you can appreciate that, then I appreciate you. But with that being said, we got a lot to do, and let's get to it. All right, so I took the liberty to go ahead and make some steel over here, and this will be the first floor of our factory completed. So let's go ahead and take a quick little tour of what I just accomplished, and basically all I did was add some foundries. Takes coal and iron. We're making iron over on the left side over here. Go ahead and look. All our iron is being made over here, making 2,200. We're using 1,200 for the steel. We have coal being imported with the drones right here. Apparently it's only 257 per minute, which is not good because we are supplying 600 per minute over at the other base. So let's go ahead and see if we'll need to add more. Might be the case. So if drones can't deliver up to 600 per minute, we're going to be short on our steel. May have to upgrade either to a train or a truck, or maybe we'll have a truck add on top of it. So we'll give it some time. Let it see if we can get 600 per minute. And we're also making copper. So we have all of this stuff being made on our first floor. We have all the essential resources. Up here, I went and started making steel pipes and steel beams. We're going to need that to make the encased industrial beams and the other things that we need for the pipes. Most of it is going to be pipes. I realized steel beams that pretty much only used for either screws and a few other crafting items, but mainly steel beams are used for building, like steel floors and stuff like that, steel walls, and so on and so forth. They are used for some things, but we don't need as much. So we'll need a lot more steel pipes to make more encased industrial beams, straters, and a bunch of other things that we're going to need the steel casings for. So, but with that being said, that'll be the end of this episode and the end of our first floor here. So in the next episode, we're going to go ahead to the second floor up there, start breaking down our iron, copper, and steel, and start making different items. So with that being said, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. And if you want to see more content of Satisfactory or just stuff that I make in general, subscribe to my channel. But with that being said, thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. And I really hope to see you in the next video. Take care.